The phrase, "Those you mock today may lead tomorrow," carries a profound truth about life, one that echoes through history, personal stories, and the quiet revolutions happening in ordinary lives right now. It serves as both a caution and an encouragement, a warning against the arrogance of dismissal, and a beacon of hope for anyone who has ever felt belittled, overlooked, or ridiculed. In a world quick to judge potential based on current appearances, status, or momentary failures, this mindset reminds us that human worth and destiny are not fixed in the present snapshot. The quiet dreamer in the corner, the awkward innovator dismissed as eccentric, the struggling soul mocked for their persistence. These are often the very people who rise to reshape industries, inspire generations, or simply lead with quiet strength when the time comes. Consider how frequently the arc of greatness begins in humiliation. Many of the figures we now admire were once targets of laughter, skepticism, or outright scorn. Their stories illustrate that mockery often signals not deficiency in the mocked, but limitation in the mocker's vision. When we laugh at someone's dreams or belittle their efforts, we reveal more about our own narrow perspective than about their potential. Take J.K. Rowling, for instance. Before the world knew Harry Potter, she was a single mother living on welfare, battling depression, and facing repeated rejections from publishers who saw no market for her wizarding tale. One editor reportedly dismissed her manuscript as unpromising, and others simply ignored it. Friends and acquaintances might have quietly, or not so quietly, questioned her decision to pour time into children's stories while struggling to make ends meet. Yet those very stories became a global phenomenon, spawning books, films, theme parks, and a cultural legacy that has inspired billions. The people who mocked her persistence or pitted her situation never foresaw that she would lead a literary revolution and become one of the wealthiest authors in history. Her rise wasn't just personal success. It shifted how the world views fantasy, resilience, and the power of imagination. Similarly, Walt Disney faced brutal dismissal early on. Fired from a newspaper job because his editor claimed he lacked imagination and had no good ideas, Disney encountered failure after failure. His first animation studio went bankrupt, and potential investors laughed at the notion of cartoons featuring talking animals or fairy tales brought to life. Even after creating Mickey Mouse, distributors and critics mocked his ambitions as childish fantasies. Yet Disney persisted, building an entertainment empire that redefined animation, storytelling, and family experiences worldwide. Those who scoffed at his silly drawings could never have imagined the man who would lead entire generations into worlds of wonder, proving that vision often outpaces the crowd's comprehension. In the realm of science and innovation, the pattern repeats. Galileo Galilei was ridiculed, tried, and forced to recant his support for heliocentrism, the idea that Earth revolves around the sun. Church authorities and scholars mocked him as arrogant or heretical, placing him under house arrest for the remainder of his life. Yet his ideas proved foundational to modern astronomy and physics. Centuries later, we recognize him as a pioneer who led humanity toward a truer understanding of the cosmos. The mockers faded into footnotes. The mock became a symbol of intellectual courage. Closer to our era, Elon Musk endured relentless bullying as a child in South Africa, physical attacks, isolation, and mockery for his introverted nature and big ideas. Even as an adult entrepreneur, critics laughed at his ventures. Electric cars were dismissed as impractical toys, space travel as billionaire vanity projects. SpaceX rockets exploded spectacularly in early tests, fueling more ridicule. Yet Musk's companies now lead in reusable rocketry, electric vehicles, and satellite internet, transforming industries once thought impossible to disrupt. Those who mocked his crazy ambitions now witness him leading humanity's push toward multiplanetary life. Lady Gaga, Stefani Germanotta, was thrown into trash cans by classmates, teased mercilessly for her eccentric style, theatrical personality, and appearance. School became a place of torment, yet she channeled that pain into music and performance. The industry initially dismissed her as too weird or over the top. Today, she is a cultural icon, Oscar winner, advocate, and leader in music, fashion, and LGBTQ+ rights. Her story shows how the very traits mocked can become the foundation of extraordinary leadership. Oprah Winfrey grew up in poverty, faced abuse, and was told she wasn't fit for television news because she showed too much emotion. Executives mocked her warmth as unprofessional. She turned that flaw into the cornerstone of the most influential talk show in history, building a media empire and becoming a global leader in empowerment, philanthropy, and honest conversation. These examples are not anomalies. They form a pattern. Thomas Edison was called addled by a teacher and failed thousands of times before the light bulb. Michael Jordan was cut from his high school basketball team, mocked as not good enough. Abraham Lincoln lost elections, faced business failures, and endured public ridicule for his appearance and background before leading a nation through its darkest hour. Steve Jobs was ousted from his own company, dismissed as erratic. Each time, the mockers saw only the present flaw. The future saw the leader emerging. But this truth extends far beyond celebrities and historical giants. In everyday life, the principle operates quietly yet powerfully. The quiet colleague dismissed as too soft may one day lead the team with empathy that drives unprecedented loyalty and innovation. The student mocked for their accent, background, or unconventional ideas may become the entrepreneur who builds solutions no one else envisioned. The friend ridiculed for pursuing a passion project instead of a stable job may create art, technology, or social change that inspires thousands. Why does this happen so often? Because true leadership rarely looks like the crowd's expectation. It emerges from persistence, vision, and resilience forged in adversity. Mockery tests character. Those who rise above it develop a depth others never gain. The one who endures laughter without bitterness learns humility, empathy, and determination, qualities that inspire followers far more than arrogance ever could. Moreover, mocking others reveals insecurity. When we belittle someone's dreams, we often protect our own comfort zone. We laugh because their ambition highlights our complacency. But life has a way of reversing roles. The mocked can become the inspirer, the leader, the one others look to for guidance. Tomorrow's boardroom, stage, or movement may be led by the very person dismissed today. This is not about revenge, it's about perspective. It's a call to kindness, to withhold judgment, to recognize potential even when it's hidden under struggle. Celebrate others' efforts rather than ridicule them. You never know whose quiet persistence will one day light the path for many, including perhaps your own. For those feeling mocked right now, hold on. Your current chapter is not your story's end. The pain of dismissal can fuel unmatched drive. History and countless personal testimonies prove that the seeds of tomorrow's leadership are often planted in today's ridicule. Use it as fuel, not defeat. Prove nothing to the mockers. Prove everything to yourself. The world changes when overlooked voices rise. Leaders emerge not from perfection, but from perseverance through imperfection. So next time you see someone striving against the odds, remember, those you mock today may lead tomorrow. Treat them with the respect future generations might one day owe them. And if you're the one being mocked, embrace the possibility. Your tomorrow could rewrite the narrative. Keep going. The stage is being set, and the spotlight finds those who refuse to dim their light, no matter how dark the room seems now. In embracing this wisdom, we build a better world, one where potential is nurtured instead of crushed, where empathy replaces scorn, and where tomorrow's leaders are seen and supported today. That shift begins with each of us choosing curiosity over contempt, encouragement over ridicule. Because the truth remains timeless. Those you mock today may indeed lead tomorrow. And when they do, may your memory be one of kindness, not cruelty. Ignaz Semmelweis, a Hungarian physician in the 1840s, observed that hand-washing with chlorinated lime reduced childbirth-related deaths dramatically. His colleagues in the medical establishment ridiculed him as superstitious and unscientific. After all, gentlemen didn't need to wash hands like common laborers. He was ostracized, lost positions, suffered a breakdown, and died in an asylum after being beaten by guards. Only after germ theory, championed by Pasteur and Lister, proved him right did the world recognize his life-saving insight. Millions owe their lives to the protocol he died defending against mockery. Even in entertainment, the pattern holds. Jerry Seinfeld froze during his first stand-up set, got booed off stage, and faced jeers that would crush most. He returned anyway, honing his craft until becoming a comedy legend. Ludwig van Beethoven was called too stupid to compose by teachers. He went deaf yet created symphonies that define classical music. Vincent van Gogh sold one painting in his lifetime, faced ridicule for his mad style, and died in poverty, only to be celebrated posthumously as a master whose work now fetches hundreds of millions. Closer to everyday realities, this truth plays out in offices, schools, and communities worldwide. The introverted coder dismissed as weird for late-night side projects may launch the next breakthrough app. The single parent working 2 jobs while studying online may one day lead policy changes in education or healthcare. The immigrant mocked for their accent or customs may build businesses that employ hundreds and enrich cultures. Leadership rarely announces itself with fanfare. It often emerges from the shadows of doubt and derision. In the end, those you mock today may lead tomorrow is a mirror and a map. It reflects our tendency to judge hastily and charts a wiser path, one of patience, kindness, and open-eyed respect for potential. When we embrace this, we don't just avoid regret, we help create the leaders, creators, and change-makers the world needs. And perhaps, in lifting others despite doubt, we find our own path illuminated too.